When early broadcasters were looking for things to interest people, weather seemed like a natural. After all, everyone talks about it, especially here in the Pacific Northwest. But in the early 50s, there wasn't a lot of weather information to be had. So how do you make it interesting? You hire Bob Hale, a local sign painter known for his great cartoon characters. Bob blazed the weather cartooning trail for a decade, accompanied by Ole Snow and Sammy Siegel, just to name a few. Bob Cram took over for Bob Hale and continued the cartooning tradition through the 60s and successfully brought another entire group of characters on scene.
And so Dad was up in the Space Needle.
Robin Hall, Bob's daughter, still remembers that crew.
He had a character named Onshore Flow, and there was Tondaleo Schmidlap, and she was somebody in a house dress and had a cigarette dangling and you know, the curlers and all.
The tradition of weather cartooning at King ended in the early 70s when it was decided news and weather should be more serious. Bob was asked to study meteorology, but he decided to move on and to stick to the things that he loved, like skiing and cartooning. In fact, the inside of the old lodge at Crystal Mountain was covered with his ski cartoons. The era of more numbers and magnetic weather maps had arrived.
Rain chance today, 100%.
Later in the 70s and 80s, the personal computing revolution made inroads, and magnets on maps were gradually replaced by computer graphics and the magic of the green screen that let us become part of the graphics. And about this time, the weather forecasters had a bit of a change in their look.
Another eclipse is coming, and we've got about as much chance of seeing this one as we did the last.
The graphics gradually improved during the 80s and early 90s, but we were still forecasting from paper maps and serenaded by the sound of dot matrix printers. And meteorologists were having trouble seeing the details of Washington's complex microclimates. But all that changed in 1994. King installed the first operational Doppler radar on Puget Sound at SeaTac. And the same year, we introduced the SchoolNet automated weather stations located in neighborhoods where people live, not at remote airports. That network has now grown to more than 150 stations around the state. And this innovation continues today. King helps to fund ongoing research into Northwest weather at the University of Washington, and it's the only local station to integrate their high-resolution computer model output into our on-air graphics.
And we developed a relationship, we developed an agreement by which the station could access those models and use them to display in our local forecast that we were doing on the air. Changes in elevation make a big difference.
But broadcasting the weather isn't all science, even today. Being out in the weather is one of our favorite things to do.
We all have our concerns when it comes to winter driving here at Snoqualmie Pass.
We have a temperature right now of about 46 to 47 degrees.
See you later. Have a good weekend. Go I-90!
Chris, what's the latest on that?
Well, Alan,
one of our favorite outdoor locations used to be our rooftop weather garden at the old station with its classic birdhouse built by Captain Phil Harris of Deadliest Catch fame. Of course, going outside to do the weather was never without risk, even in the roof garden, especially when nesting crows apparently did not like our forecast.